Okay, so pad work is very, to us it's very, very basic, very, very, as natural as we can make it. So what we're looking at here is Kieran's just going to hold, and I'm going to hit these with an open hand. Usually you'll see people wailing away with a closed hand, and that's all well and good, but that takes time and it takes a level of precision that you just can't guarantee. So if you have that level of precision, that's great, but even the best boxers break their hands. This is tantamount to breaking your hands if you're not used to it, so we do everything with open fingers. So when we hit, we're going to hit with the heel of the palm, the bottom of the palm here. Basically just going to hit in. Fingers spread as wide as possible, okay? And if you want to see why we do it wide, I'll let you experiment for yourself. Try it with closed hands, try it with open fingers, or closed fingers and open fingers, and you'll see what differences you get from there. I might ask you that as we go along. When we pop in, we're just going to push out on the other side. Then you're just going to play. Like so. Notice my hands aren't necessarily in the classical boxing stance or fighting stance or martial arts stance or anything else. They're pretty much just here in the center of my body. This just allows me to go up, to go down, to use them as natural as possible. Plus most of us talk with our hands, as you can see, so it's quite natural to have your hands in this position. Okay? Most of us just shy talk with our hands as well. That works too. Next one then we're going to add in as well as this, okay? It's just a quick one through. This is going to be like the hook, okay? Except again, you're going to hit a hook. If you don't get this right, you're really going for broken things. So what we're looking at here is an open-handed slap. You're still going to try hit with the bottom of the palm. As you hit in, you're going to let your hand slap through like so, okay? So when you hit, you're going to get that nice sound off it, okay? The better the sound, the better the strike, okay? So if you're getting this kind of dull thud, that's great. But you want a dull thud with something a little bit more in it. So. Like so. This will start to annoy you, but I guarantee you it won't hurt as much if you broke your hand doing a hook punch. Alright? Are we good with this? Okay, let's grab a set of pads each and play. Then you got to throw in variables. So if everyone stood still that you really needed to defend yourself against, it would be great. You know, he comes at me and he's giving me all this shit, and then just 1 second, thank you, and everything works perfectly, okay? We'll get into that a little later, but that could actually just end up in me being in prison. And he hasn't technically done anything, just to give that a bit of context, right? But the other part of it is here, what we're talking about is, this is great, and Kieran's giving me an exercise here, which is allowing me to hit something with a little bit of resistance and a little bit of force that I can put into it. Okay, so I can kind of test my own boundaries and strength and see what I can put out. Brilliant. What you'll find is it gets very exciting. And everyone goes, oh, and they go, yeah, great. That's perfect. And that's great in a frenzy, but you still want to be able to kind of focus on what you're supposed to be doing, which is hitting something. Okay? So in this case here, now the partner here is going to look for a little bit of an opening or a weakness. Not to take your head off your shoulders with the same amount of power you're hitting the pads with, let's be honest about this and be clear about this first off. What's going to happen is if I let my hand flag, Kieran's going to put something in my face to go, watch for these things, these come back. So now what you're getting is a little bit of honesty, okay? So if you believe that you are super and that you're powering through these things, that's great. That is good confidence, but then you can't get overconfident. So what your partner's job here is just to go watch for these little things, and your partner will pick out things, because what you're starting to do on this side then is look for an opening. So maybe he's the one defending this time, in his mind. So I'm coming at him and everything else, and suddenly he sees an opening to take over and like actually break the situation, turn it from a victim situation into a safer situation to get away, okay? So both sides of this play a function, and it's not always just him facilitating me hitting things. Can be that, but not always that. So both sides have a psychology behind it, both sides have a purpose, okay? So what I want you to do, as you've pretty much seen already, fire away the way you are. As the partner, don't take the person clean off their feet. Used to a certain level of output, and he knows what he can put in and what he can't put in, okay? But what you're looking for is show the opportunities and seek the opportunities for yourself. So if you see a gap, you look to exploit that gap. We're not building people to stand back and wait for things to happen. We're looking to kind of help people see an opportunity to move forward or move away or escape. Okay, we good with this? So that's the game we're playing now. So switch partners, don't play with the same people, play with different people. If you haven't met before, introduce yourself, that's important too. All right, off you go. If Kieran fires off the bat, That's probably my flinch response. That's great. So my flinch response at that point was, fuck that, get away. Yeah? And that is valid, and that is an exceptionally good thing to have. Lucky it worked that time. Usually that's me now. Pretty good. All right. So, what you're finding now is, it's great having it pointed out to you when there's a problem, or when you have a gap in your defense, or when you're actually leaving yourself open to be attacked. But then what you actually find is, your body quickly goes, no, survive, and starts covering itself and starts kind of moving to react to the other stimulus that comes in from there. Okay? This is good. This is something we want to happen. But what we don't want to happen from that is, oh. So what you want is that response to give you that break where something comes, you react and you back off and you respond following that as well, okay? Put distance, you put something else out, you stick your hand out, you do something to cause a break in the full-on action. But the main thing is that you don't ignore this response happening. You don't go, stop, stupid hand, knock out, okay? And these are important things. So if you're discovering this is great. What most people will do automatically is when they're playing this game, they'll stand and they'll respond. Standing and responding is great unless he's got a backup. Because then what you'll find is you slip into a defensive pattern. By slipping into a defensive pattern, all you're thinking is stop getting hit. But you're not thinking stop him. Okay? So you're stopping the result of his action, but you're not actually stopping his action. So what we want to happen is when this happens, you fire something out to cause a momentary break, or you break yourself away from it. So you look for your option out, or you look for something that's going to buy you a little bit of time, an extra option out. Are we good with this? Okay. So these little things, don't be afraid of them, and don't be afraid to explore them. The important thing is don't stand there, because if he's on aggressive run, he's going to keep coming. Now at some point, I make him panic somehow. Okay? And this is important. This is what you need to start getting an idea of. It's not going to stop just because you do this. It could, if it's only about a dominance game where they just want to prove they're better than you, for their mates, for your friends, to see that you're lower than they are on the food chain. If there's someone who wants you as a resource or something you have, then they're not going to stop until they get that. So you want to look for the way to break that and stop that. Okay? So use these things and use these as ways to experience how to get away. Do I have space to move? Can I run for the nearest exit? Where is your nearest exit? Think about these things while we're training here. It's important, okay? Because this is all safe and good. But when you transfer this to somewhere that's not safe and good, if you ever find yourself in that position, which you really shouldn't, try not to, but look for somewhere out. Know where your exits are. These are important things to know as well. This is the difference between, as we said in previous times, this is the difference between a self-defense situation and a martial arts situation. Martial arts ends the minute I beat the living crap out of him, back off and pose. Because that's the way it ends. Self-defense usually ends up somewhere else in much worse situations, and possibly with a visit to the police station or courts, depending on how it all goes. Okay? Not a joke in some ways, it's funny, but it is true. You can do more damage to the other person, and you end up in court, defending what your actions were. Okay? And so what we're going to work on is we do a lot of free-flowing drills, we do a lot of play drills just to get us used to moving and things like that. One of the ones we run is a one-step drill, so most of the guys will be familiar with it. Anyone who isn't, it's very simple. So a one-step drill is essentially one count for one count, okay? You're doing it with the intent, literally, whoa, 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 literally, good, eager, all right, with the intent that you can do it slow enough to touch an eyeball, okay? So you're not trying to kill each other, but you are doing it with the intent that where there are more circumstances involved and violence and aggression and speed and power and all that type of stuff, you'd probably stick your thumb halfway into her eyeball cavity. Not for tonight, please. Okay. And not ever, really, if you can. That's probably not a good idea either. Pretty far. Yeah, I know. It's pretty far abusive, folks. I know. Okay. So when we're putting this in here, this is just to give an example. This is how far we're going to go. Now, as you'll see, Jackie is already geared to move faster than she should. Look, well done. You still moved. Okay. We're going to go really slow. So if my attack is to be anything violent, it could be that I'm doing this to Jackie to try and grab her. Jackie's response was this. Sorry. That counts as a 1. Okay? However, if Jackie was to actually just cover and smack me in the face at the same time, that would be a better 1. Okay? So what we're looking for is this, what's known as a golden maneuver. Literally the smallest amount of effort that you can put in to get you to your goal. And this flows and continues. So I might grab Jackie or try grab Jackie, Jackie will move like this. My response from here could be to go for Jackie, and Jackie's response, as you see, will be something equally useful in stopping me or preventing me from doing that. My next move could be that. And you'll see that Jackie is looking for responses as well. So what we're looking to do is literally play this out. There is no kind of end game bar, see where you go and see what your opportunities are. The one thing we'll say is we tap when we get too far or we feel too much pain or we feel too uncomfortable. That is completely respectable. Okay? We have a less respectable way for those who haven't been here before, which is get off me, you fat fuck. And you might want to check with your partner whether they're sensitive to that one or not. Just saying. But when it's over as far as you're concerned, okay? Guys who've been here a little bit longer, respect the tap, but obviously know that, you know, the whole idea of you don't get to die here kind of plays into your own mind as well. We'll cover that another time with you guys. For now, tap is a good way to end this if you feel too uncomfortable or you've gone too far, okay? If you've jewelry, anything else on you right now, this is not the time to be wearing it, just so you're aware. Okay, or zips, fuck it. Alright, so if I'm moving on Jackie, my response here is to take over Jackie. Jackie, you take one step there. Thanks for being involved. So this is where we're going to go from here. Jackie's going to look for a way out, and Jackie's going to pull. Okay, from here, we're basically going to play and look for a way out. Respect the one count as best you can. It will go a little faster sometimes, but try and get it down to one count at a time and be honest with each other. Try and move at a relative speed, slow, to the other person as well. If you're moving faster than the person going slow, you are not moving faster. Okay? You are not superhuman. You are literally just cheating. Alright? Okay. We good with this? You'll find your way through it, don't worry, it's fairly accessible. Play this for a few minutes and then we're going to work on something else. Off we go. What you're building here is a level of confidence. Alright? The precursor to this, as much as anything else, is space. So, if I want to get to Kieran, or I want to do damage to Kieran, or I want to just start a fight with Kieran, it could go the traditional way of I just want to be an arsehole and make a show and make it look like I'm a big man and start puffing up the chest and giving loads and fuck you, I'm going to wreck you, I'm going to kill him, I'm going to kill your parents, and he looks nonchalant and then suddenly I lose steam. Alright? Or get angrier, or one or the other. There's different actions, different responses, alright? But in order to get that close, there's a lot happening here where suddenly I've gotten this close just by gesturing, giving them shit, sticking a finger out, whatever else. Okay? So, this is a very definite social violence to a point. If I wasn't going for something that was social and more predatory, I'd probably be doing it where he couldn't see me. So I would smack him in the back of the head and then I would start going, or whatever else, by a time, by shock, alright? So, the precursor to this is, this kind of starts a little closer and you've got to figure your way out into that range. So I could start, I could talk, and I could be talking next to you like I did to some people, and then put an arm around you and put you in a lock, grab you or choke you and do something like that. At this point here, it could be surprise attack, and then by the time Kieran's in there, did it happen first, did it happen last? You don't know. You don't know what his reaction is going to be, and to be honest, that may have just spurred him on. But the main thing about it is that we're looking at a way to get that close to each other. So you kind of have to think predatory in some ways if you're going to play this, and you're going to play it to be considering what a violent act is. Alright? So if you're really just doing what's known as monkey dancing, this is us giving it fucking loads, and into a push, and into this, and then it accelerates into something else, or escalates into something else. So this starts off very much verbal, fuck you, blah, 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 bang, 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 push. He's made a show of me, I'm going to make a show of him. Usually this ends up badly, but not as bad as other circumstances. Yeah? Other side of it then is, I'm the silent predator. I'm the one that wants to get in and walk up beside him and stand within his personal zone and literally stab him to death. This is what you're thinking as well, okay? So you kind of need to play these games in your head. It's a horrible game to play, but it's an understanding that needs to be developed, okay? So that's the precursor to this, that's how you get in there. It's easier for us to say, just get in and attack each other, but you kind of have to switch your mindset a little, okay? One of the things that you can have from a martial arts perspective or anything else is locking. So locks in the simplest form is this type of thing here. I hold them by a joint. I take them to the floor, I snap the joint, I do something. There's all manner of like tricky shit that can happen. You've got all this, you've got this, you've got this pull in, you've got all this stuff here, you've got fingers. And it all looks very great and it all flows together wonderfully and excellently. If the person is compliant. Okay? Because, let's be honest, unless I really find a way to get in there, Tommy is not going to let me take his hand and throw him. Correct? But there are ways of finding your way in there. That's why, in this context of self-defense or whatever world we want to pretend that we're playing in at the moment, what you would class a lock as is a gift. It is literally something that is given to you for a moment. You either use it or lose it. Okay? And that's the way it works. So what we're going to play with is the idea of locks. We're going to try to simplify it as much as possible. They're not going to be pretty, they're not going to be technically sound or anything else. They're going to be pulled out from something like a flow, as if we were doing one step. So at times you'll find an arm in the way and suddenly you'll realize, hey, I've got leverage on someone. You will rest on the elbow and suddenly the person will go down towards the floor, giving you a better opportunity. Okay? This is what we're going to explore at the moment, and this is what we're going to try to work back into. Are we happy with this? Okay. You've got a number of different positions on the body or different locks that can happen on the body, different joints, okay? So the main thing is here, let's start with the elbows and also the knees in this case, because they're pretty much the same thing. Alright? These are what are known as hinge joints. Anyone who knows how a basic door works will know what a hinge is, okay? Or a gate, or any of those type of things that involve opening and closing. So there's your hinge. You'll notice that the hinge works in one direction. But applied the other way, it doesn't work as well. Okay? So in the term of these are usually known as straight arm locks or anything else like that. Okay? So when you're applying on the elbow, you'll usually see many positions that you can apply these in, and all manner of different things that you can apply. Sometimes up here on the elbow, same thing, all of these different things. Okay? Knees conversely work the same, knees similarly work the same way. If I put enough pressure on the hinge joint and straighten it out, it's going to be harder to balance. Now there's a lot more things that we could be dealing with. What you'll find is, much like the things that happened earlier on, if I'm in this position here and this is my opportunity and I crash forward and check that knee, it may give me an opportunity to get away from Tommy while bowling him over, or it could end me up on the ground. So these are things you've got to consider and you will discover. Okay? If Tommy is resisting a certain way, the hinge joint can be used differently, but that's more of a buckle than a lock. Okay? Likewise, if he's resisting this, we can take it somewhere else later on. Okay? So, if you're getting pressure and if you're getting something else, it's very important that you don't try and muscle through something, because Tommy will muscle through me with the slightest of effort. Okay? All things considered relative here. So when I'm moving Tommy, if Tommy is starting to resist, I'm not going to fight for this because Tommy is just going to push through and probably kill me. And we're into somewhere else. So when I'm playing this game, I don't rest on something that isn't going to work at that point in time. Are we good with this? Okay. So hinge joints. These are the first kind of two we're going to cover. What I want you to do is play together in a partnership very slowly. Okay? All I want you to do is discover how many of these type of locks, I've shown you maybe 3 or 4 already, you discover. Okay? See what way the arm works. See what it works like on the ground. See how you can apply them. See what parts of your body you can use to apply pressure on this lock here. Okay? We go with this? And just go from there and play and explore this. Alright? Cool. Off we go. Now, another thing to note is 2 directions are useful here. Okay? So it's not good enough me just pushing on the elbow here while doing nothing with this hand, because Jackie will essentially just walk away from this or walk around this, or nothing is applied at all. So if I'm applying, there's a pull and a push usually, which starts to cause a reaction. It starts to cause a reaction. A down and an up, a forward and back. Okay? So you do need to apply in multiple directions, let's say, at this point. Okay? So find this. You'll find where a lock doesn't apply. Okay, so anyway. We have this one here, which we started with. We had this one here, which we started with. We had this one here, which we started with. We had this one here, which I showed earlier as well. Yeah? You have this one here, which brings her down to the floor. You can apply this way. Okay? Now, this one is an interesting one because I've taken away base, which means it's very difficult for Jackie to maybe respond to this. Whereas up in the air, they're a little bit more free-flowing, and she has options for outs. Okay? Not impossible, just more difficult. Okay? To come out of. We'll play with this later. We have this one here. Okay? We have this one here. We have this one here. Okay? We have this type of position here. Across the back of the leg, sitting on the arm. We have many other variations, but those are just some ideas to show. Okay? You can have that one there if you want as well. Saw that being used at one point as well. Okay? But the idea is all you're being given is the principle of how a joint works and how it doesn't work, and then applying force to that joint in 2 directions. Make sense? Then what happens from there is play. Some shit will work, some shit will backfire, and you'll get slapped in the head. That happens, okay? But what you realize is, don't lose sleep over that lock that you've just lost for a slap in the head. Deal with getting up or getting through that slap in the head. Okay? That's the next part. Alright, next. So, we've talked about elbows and knees being essentially the same thing. Next thing, hips and shoulders, essentially the same thing. Okay? Fingers, slightly different, but similar principles, okay? Slightly different in the fact that both of these principles here apply here, okay? Weird ways. Shoulders. Shoulders are known as ball and socket joints, okay? Hips are ball and socket joints, so they literally sit together like so, and they roll, okay? So, in this case here, usually where you will see a shoulder lock of some sort, okay, is this kind of band here, this idea, okay? You'll see it where some of you found yourself in a wing lock. So as Jackie bands, this is where we're here, stand up again. So here, this type of shape here. Applying leverage upwards and into the shoulder here, okay? Again, apply leverage where possible into two directions, all right? There's very few you can actually find on these. There are a lot you can do, but realistically, once you've gotten to, as described by the gentleman I took this from, Rory Miller, it is essentially turn it 90 degrees, this way or this way, so up or down, okay? And then turn it like a water faucet or a tap. And apply, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this one's quite interesting in the fact that you're just going to put yourself in very similar positions. Okay, so apply 90 degrees here, turn it like a water faucet. Okay, we go with this. Want to play with this a little bit? Find your way into this. What you'll find is you can kind of fold yourself into a lot of positions easily or not easily, depending on which way you go with this. Okay, so there are things you can do, and there are locks that will lead to other locks. This is all well and good if you can make them function. If you can't, don't worry about it too much. Just get on with something else in this context. Okay, are we good? All right, look for a few options from this. You'll find very few, but you'll find yourself in weird positions anyway, so it's good to work with them. Okay, at least you understand when you see it in this position, or this position, or this position, or something else, you know you're working the ball and socket joint here, the shoulder. The hip doesn't have the same level of mobility in terms of how you can move someone, so usually it's described as rolling someone over their hip. It tends to be that kind of thing happening with maybe some of the knee bends here and all of these type of implies on the hip and the joint in itself. Okay? You go with this? Alright, off we go. Okay? So the principles apply there. 90 degrees, turn like a faucet, or like a tap, or whatever you want to use. Faucet is American, I've been watching a DVD and it's stuck in my head now. Okay? But the idea is, when I apply this, I apply at 90 degrees and then rotate very quickly, and you'll see that Kieran starts to respond. Now, granted, Kieran will respond very quickly with a punch in the face unless this really fucking hurts him very quickly. I'm not that type of guy, so if he punches me in the face, then I'll shoot him. Alright. Later. Okay. So the hinges then, you've got two on each finger. You've got one here and one here. So you'll see these applied like the hinges. You can apply pressure straight back on them, but they need to be used usually with the ball and socket joint to prevent mobility, otherwise it's going nowhere, okay? The other one you'll see is, oh, you know the old one, you grab them like this and you drop them. That works really fucking well, but you've got to learn to train that. I wouldn't be wasting time on it all that often if you're looking to improvise. If you're looking to be very, very technical, brilliant, great place to go, and it's very good for controlling people. Usually, as we've had from previous experience, grabbing focus by the fingers and bending them around and running them around the floor usually works quite well. Thank you, Germany. All right? So, when we apply with the fingers, you're going to apply basically straight back like that and turn. The hinge joints will do their own work as well because they apply leverage and the fact that they can't bend back the way they should to stop this from happening. Okay? So you kind of isolate the two elements in this case. Alright? Two types of joints elements. You good with that? So you can play with these in your own time as you go through the next set as well. The other type then, the third type as we said, are gliding joints. So these are joints that neither really sit together or kind of hinge, and essentially they work on the extremities, or as close to the extremities as possible. So you've got two joints essentially that would function in this way. He's waving it right now. His wrist and his ankle. Okay? So basically your wrist and your ankle sit together this way and they glide past each other. Okay? So they're not really sitting into each other and they're not really bending around each other, they just kind of glide past each other, held together by tendons and the legs. We go with that? Okay. So, These ones here, essentially, bend or twist, okay? So if you apply pressure, where you'll see most of these locks happening, there are 3 dimensions that we use, classically speaking. There's forward, side, and diagonal, which then causes reaction, okay? Far better people at this than I am, but the main thing here that what you're looking for is this bend and twist, which is gonna start to take pressure, okay? Now, done quickly is fine. Done like this, and not properly, will basically get me that, okay? So there's distance and a lot of other things to happen. But again, what we're looking at is this idea of improvising. I have this here, what the fuck can I do with it now? That. Bend and twist. There are ways out, and we'll look at those in a sec. So I've shown this already, and we can show it now. If this is on, sticking an elbow in my face will actually help. Can help. May, might, possibly help. Alright? But the idea is that what we're looking for in this context, in this game that we're playing, is we see a shape, and instead of going, which one of the 156 different locks that I know can I do in this particular position? Okay? Rather than that, we're going, this is a hinge joint, go. This is a gliding joint, go. This is a ball and socket joint, go. And that's what we're trying to build here. This is the idea of improvising. So we're not technical in the sense of very classical, beautiful moves, but what we are working here is how the body responds to a certain movement, or how it doesn't respond to a certain movement. We okay with that? Yeah. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a game of pretty much one step, or A and B in this case, okay? So I'm essentially going to allow Tommy to take a lock on me, okay? Now, the idea of this is he's not going to slam it on, he's not going to drive it on, he's not going to do it at speed, he's going to take it very slowly, much like we have been when we're playing. And then we're going to go from there in what's going to cause, hopefully, a flow for each of us, okay? So if Tommy's going to take a lock, it doesn't matter which one, as long as we're working hinge, gliding joints, or ball and socket, okay? So, Tommy's going to take a lock on the fingers here. I am basically going to look to counter this where possible, okay? Now, the weird thing about locks is our natural response, and most of us will find it is, even if you've had a little bit of pressure put on you in the last few minutes, is to go and resist against it. When sometimes you can actually take the pressure off the lock by moving through it. Now, I'm not saying this is going to hold you forever, but this is certainly not holding you in a position where Tommy has this on. Here. But I can move through it, and I can figure out a better position to be in. So what we're looking for is where the pressure isn't. You may have to go through a little bit more pressure to get there, or a little bit of pressure to get there, not even a little bit more. But essentially, what you're not allowing is this lock to apply in that direction. Now, Tommy may have to adjust again, but we're not going to go to that stage here. Okay? So when Tommy applies, if he's applying, I'm going to look for the place to be. From here, I'm going to look for my next lock and apply. Tommy's going to look for his counter out of this lock. So what you'll find is we're putting him on, we're bringing him to a position of discomfort, but not a position of pain or intolerable cruelty. Okay? So when I get to about here, that's probably Tommy moving. Tommy here will go for his counter or his breakout, and we'll apply a lock of his choosing from what he sees here. So if Tommy thinks he has a lock there, or somewhere, you'll find something he can do. Okay? Now, we are going one, so make sure you only apply one, not 10. Or 2, or 3, or 7. Okay. So the idea here is if Tommy is applying something on me, I can apply a little bit more. My aim here is to look for the pressure. Okay? So my aim here is to look for the next way out. Okay? Likewise here, I'm going to look for what I can get on Tommy. And we're just going to find our way through what's presented to us, what we can use, and what we can break out of. So you're exploring really where you think the pain is. You want to be where it isn't, and you'll find your way there, hopefully, how to get there. And also what you're seeing is what shapes you can recognize just from what's presented to you after Tommy finishes breaking out of your lock, or his lock, where you finish breaking out of his lock. We go with this? Done really slowly, done really controlled, but do it to a point where you feel something, just not the snap of tendons and fingers and things like that, okay? We go with this? All right, let's play. Go.